Hello and welcome to Aerotech's Automation1 Motion Control Platform Educational Series. Aerotech is a company that solves your toughest precision motion and automation challenges. Automation1 is a motion control platform consisting of software-based controls and development tools, PC and drive-based control hardware, and hardware-based drives for servo motors and other devices. In this video, you will discover AeroScript library files, including writing and compiling AeroScript library files, adding a compiled library file to program automation, deleting scripted library files from your controller file system, importing compiled libraries, using custom library functions and library enumerations, and protecting your intellectual property via library files. My name is Patrick Wheeler, and I'm a product manager for Aerotech. So here I am at the Automation1 Studio Application home screen. I'm going to migrate over to the Develop Workspace, where I have two program files opened currently. One's a traditional AeroScript program file, and the second is a library file. This library file, the overview of the functionality it enables a user, is to build on top of the AeroScript programming language to build your own functionality that you can call to. In this example, the library file, we've created some library functions using this library state enum. The first one's called setLaser, and the second one's called moveAxis. And as you can tell, you can pass some variables to and from these functions. But in order to use them, I'll show you how to set this up in Program Automation. First, I'm going to build the library file, and there was no errors in doing that. If I come over to Program Automation and migrate over to Libraries, I can now add a library. I'm going to my library example folder. I'm going to add library input A1LIB. Now, as you can tell, the script program I wrote is AeroScript LIB. This is a compiled version. Notice that adding a library in Program Automation, it only searches for your compiled files. You do not have the option to add the native text file in Program Automation. You can keep that file on your controller file system, which I'll show you in a minute, or you could delete the original native text file. Deleting the original native text file gives you the ability to remove any file that can show people how you wrote your functions. Why might you want to do this? Well, you might be delivering your machine to an end user and you do not want them to be able to modify or copy any of your intellectual property that you have developed. So being able to only add these compiled versions of files add added security to your intellectual property. So I'm going to open this, okay? I'm going to hit Save All. Yes, I'll restart. As you can tell, a nice little warning was there. All that warning was for was that I'm not using any physical hardware right now associated with Automation1. I'm running what we call our virtual mode for this purpose of this demonstration. All right, now that that's been added, you'll see in my main program file, I have the commands here to import that compiled library. That allows me to call to some of the functionality inside of that library. So I can build this file, I can load this onto my controller, and I can run this file. I can disable it using the Axis dashboard, disable that axis. And if I wanted to see the data collection, I could make a quick function here called app data collect snapshot. And if I wanted to make sure I stopped right after the move, stop. I'm going to go and configure my signals and make sure that I'm collecting the information I want. On my x-axis, I am x-axis 3 signals. I'd like to collect the position command as well. There we go. I'll add the signal to the list. And I'll actually make that nice, handsome blue. Update. And now, when I play that program again, you'll see I collected data. Now, as you can see, I didn't collect the negative move, and I didn't collect the full scope of the positive move. So if I go back to configure signals, I can collect more points at a slower interval. And I'll be sure to collect all the points I want, the full move.
that was updated below. Now, as you can see, this set laser, this is not part of the native Aerotech programming language. Set laser, back to our library, is a function that you wrote. So a nice part about writing libraries functions in Automation1 is that now set laser has become part of my autocomplete. I can easily access that functionality as I'm coding. Same thing for move axis. X. If I wanted to, for example, use a variable there, I can do that. See what my warning is. Oops, down below. So that looks okay. I will use position here. I'm okay. I have no build errors. I have live build checking and warnings. So I should be able to build that program, load it, and now I will run it. And now you see that I moved to 100 after going back -50. So that call into that library function worked as well. So that's it. That should be enough to get you started. It's quite simple. One more thing I'll show you before we leave. If I go back to the configure workspace into my controller files, I'll show you that. I'll close this first. Okay. If I delete this, or I can download it off my computer, but for the sake of speed, I'll just delete it. I will delete that file. So if I go back to my develop workspace and I try to open, you see I don't have it in that file directory anymore. It's gone. The only thing I have left is the compiled version. Okay, so even at that, now that I've deleted it from my controller, the file still runs. I still get access to those library functions I wrote because I have the compiled version on the controller still. So I can distribute the controller in that way with only the compiled library file, and the original text-based file I can delete from the controller when I send out my machine to my customer. So that's the final highlight of this library support in AeroScript in the Automation1 controller.
That concludes this instructional video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about AeroScript library files.